really need this, or can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay. I have an affinity for microphones and for podiums. I'd rather just get out in front of my audience. Good. Before I start tonight, Chuck and Terry Palmer are here. I want to say thank you. Thank you for what your son did for us in protecting our country and preserving our freedom. I have great respect for our military veterans and for those in public safety around the world. So thank you. I also want to thank all of you for having me here tonight and for bumping me up on the agenda. My daughter Nicole is in FFA over at Johansson High School in her second year. And because of budget cuts to the Modesto City school systems, if you want to get your animals from the farm at the school to the fair, you call the parents. So after I leave here, I'm going to get a stock trailer, and I'm going to work on getting hogs and lambs to the fair. So thanks for bumping me up. What I'd like to do, first of all, I'll tell you that we could spend probably a couple of hours talking about issues, both local, state, and federal, and some of the things that Sheriff Mack talked about. But I was told that I had to keep you here for 4 hours, so what I want to do is kind of summarize my comments or summarize my thoughts about what I saw in Sheriff Mack's presentation. I want to then kind of give you an idea of the differences between Arizona and California, and I'm sure you've already figured that out, but then give you an opportunity to ask questions before I conclude. So we'll try to spend about 30 minutes, and that way we can keep the agenda moving. First of all, I read the book. I read Sheriff Mack's book as well as the rest of the material before he came and spoke in Turlock. I had done my own research in learning a little bit about him, the case that he spoke about. I read the United States Supreme Court case, which again was really about state sovereignty. I mean, that's the bottom line. The Supreme Court, and everybody here I'm sure has read the court's ruling, and that's really what the sheriff focused on in his presentation, was the Supreme Court ruling and what they said with respect to state sovereignty. Now, I got to tell you right up front, I agree with about 99% of what Sheriff Mack had to say. But there's a big difference between Arizona and California, and here in California, there's an even bigger reality that all of you need to work hard to overcome. All of us need to work hard to overcome. Now, I will tell you that I was raised in Montana. I was raised hunting and fishing. I was raised to respect my elders. I was raised to respect our country and its laws and our Constitution. My father was in the military. I'm a very patriotic person. If you visit my office at the Sheriff's Department, it is red, white, and blue. All right. Okay? All right. But the reality is that this country has lost sight of its cultural values, it's lost sight of its family values, and it's lost sight of its constitutional values. My daughter comes home and tells me that, gee, Dad, pledging allegiance to the flag in first period class is optional. And it is. Now, my daughter stands up and pledges allegiance to the flag first period every morning because I've taught my kids how to be leaders and not followers. But because of Michael Newdow in Lodi in the United States Supreme Court case that says we don't have to do this, half of the kids in the class sit there and laugh and think it's funny. And what I really want to do is go collect some veterans and go into those classrooms and say, you get to sit there and laugh because of these people who serve their country. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're all on the same page. The country's going the wrong direction. Our cultural and societal belief system has broken down. Look what our young people are exposed to today. They're not exposed to good traditional family values, or even good core Christian family values. What are they exposed to? Reality television, wife swap. Let's see, if you're a PlayStation gamer, you get to play Grand Theft Auto 4 where you get points for killing cops and stealing cars. That's what we teach our kids. We don't teach them the value of the Constitution. We don't teach them all of the things that happened in history that allow us to be a free society. So I don't disagree with Sheriff Mack. Now here's the difference between me and Sheriff Mack. He was a sheriff in an unregulated red state. I'm a sheriff in a well-regulated blue state. Okay? I spend more money taking better care of inmates because of state government regulation than I do taking care of all of you in the community. I don't have any choice. Okay? So while we may be able to effect some change in state sovereignty, and I may be able to tell the federal government, you know what, look, don't meddle in my business, the reality is that the state government in California is broken. And they are the ones that impact our lives. And you're not going to get a democratically controlled legislature to do anything that you're talking about. Do you know that we are 2 Republican Senate seats away from a supermajority in Sacramento? That means that if Meg Whitman gets elected, and I hope she does, and she brings some sanity to Sacramento, if there's a supermajority, she can do whatever she wants. The supermajority gets to veto her. Is that what we want? That's what we're looking at. So yes, we have to continue to move the conservative movement forward and say, you know what? This country is really founded on freedom and accountability and consequence. Right now, the state of California and the democratically controlled state legislature wants to shift 15,000 state prison inmates to local sheriffs and county jails. There's nothing I can do to stop it. The 3-judge federal panel in the Coleman-Plata case. Remember, anybody heard of Coleman-Plata? Okay, Coleman-Plata. It's a lawsuit. A couple of inmates in the California state prison system found lawyers. And they sued, basically, and said that prison overcrowding contributes to inadequate health care. I deserve better health care than a family of 4 on a median income who struggle to pay their bills, send their kids to school, and don't victimize the community. And we, the people of California, give it to them because we don't hold our elected representatives accountable.
State paid for the lawyers too.
State paid for the lawyers too. So the 3-judge federal panel agreed and ruled in favor of the plaintiffs and said, absolutely, you're right. Prison overcrowding contributes to inadequate health care because the state of California has not built a new prison in 3 decades. Yet the population of the state has continued to increase, and law enforcement has done a great job keeping our communities safe, and we're filling up prisons. Why not? Because, ladies and gentlemen, in order to see a day in state prison, you've been through the local criminal justice system 6 or 7 times before you get to state prison. Those folks have earned the right to be there. So there was a prisoner release order. 40,000. Now, in the state of California, there's 176,000 people in custody in the state prison system. And they want to release what they call non-violent, non-serious, non-sex offenders back into our community. And the state wants to shift its responsibility and cost to local government. And they want me, all of you, because you're paying for it, to take care of state prison inmates in the last 3 years of their prison commitment here locally without any parole supervision. Is this what we want for our country, our state, and our communities? No, it's not. The reality is that's what's happening under the big white dome in Sacramento. So I can fight against all of the federal regulation that I want, but the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, our state government is broken. Yet we're electing these people to the Senate and the Assembly. And we're not holding them accountable. And it's a democratically controlled state legislature that is doing this to local government. On top of that, I have to submit a balanced budget. I have no choice. And I do. Local government has to submit a balanced budget. And I committed in my first campaign as sheriff in 2006 and again in 2010 that I would be a good steward of your money. But the reality is, in order for me to submit a balanced budget, if the board appropriates money into my budget, I don't get to spend any more than the board gives me. Those folks under the big white dome just keep spending and spending and spending on all of these worthless social programs without any consequence or accountability. Now, I'm a compassionate guy. Okay? We put a lot of money into inmate vocational programs. Educational, rehabilitative, vocational. Got a great partnership with Modesto City Schools that teaches inmates how to weld. It teaches them a trade, and then we help them get a job. Why do I do that? Because we're trying to lower our recidivism rates. We're trying to make our communities safer. We give people opportunities to be successful. We provide family and life skills training. We provide all of those things.